Broadcast for shooters, hunters, and gun enthusiasts. This is the Firearms Radio Network. The bandwidth for this episode of Gun Guy Radio is sponsored by Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co.
Welcome to episode 218 of Gun Guy Radio. This is a podcast that shines a positive light on the firearms lifestyle. I'm your host, Jake Challen. This is your weekly dose of positive firearms talk without the politics. We have Zach Carlson joining us again of Lone Wolf. Hey, Zach, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
And we have Richard Hayes of the Texas Game Wardens, and he's also got a pretty cool new survivalist-themed YouTube channel. Hey, Richard, how you doing?
Hey, guys. How you guys doing? Pretty good.
Are you going to explain how we know Richard?
It's the class reunion of 2000. What year did we graduate?
2001, actually. Yeah, 2001.
Back in '01.
Yeah, almost 20 years ago.
Yeah, that's depressing.
Feel old yet?
Have you guys been to any of the class reunions? Because I haven't, and it's kind of sad because my wife organizes them.
No, I've always been out of state.
Yeah, and I think the one that I was in state for, we had like a sit out with you, me, and a couple other guys. Jake, didn't we?
Yeah. Well, I kind of had a sit out the year well, she wasn't my wife then, but when she asked me to prom, I went fishing instead. So there's I have a history of that.
And now look at you.
Yeah, I don't know if that helps. All right, so did you guys do anything in guns this week? I know Zach probably did. Zach, what'd you do?
I'm continuing the 1022 saga, so I'm actually finalized. I'm looking at a table full of 6 1022s or Chargers, whatever we're going to look at them as. They're all finished. They're all ready to shoot. I'm going tomorrow to shoot them all, and I have to write the article because I need to get it submitted because next week I'm going to the NRA show, and I'm not going to have time. So I've been gone all week. I've been in Nashville, and I'm done with the guns now. They're finally done, and I'll stop talking about them for a while.
Thank God.
I know. Thank God, right?
Very cool. No, I'm looking forward to that article and looking forward to finally getting my 22s back out once I move here. So looking forward to that. Richard, you do anything in guns this week?
I picked up a pistol that I've been wanting for a while, the Walther PPQ M2, 9mm.
Cool.
Really,
what made you pick that gun?
The trigger.
Yep. So are you a buy the gun and not touch it kind of guy, or are you a buy the gun and swap parts immediately?
Really buy the gun and not touch it. Why mess with how good it is? I took it. I borrowed one at a range a couple months back, and I was just impressed by it. So
yeah, that's a good gun for it then, because that is a pretty good factory out of the box trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that the one? I know a lot of the Walthers have the European style mag release. Does that one have it?
No, the PPQ Classic does, but not the M2. The M2 has the US, just the button.
Nice, cool.
It kind of looks like your what's that? The little P22 that you've got or had at one time, just bigger.
I still have that gun. That was the first gun I ever bought. I bought that when I turned 21. The Walther P22.
Yeah, it kind of looks like that and just larger. It's got a really big slide release on it. Is that easy to hit then?
Yeah, and it's. I was looking at the Navy one because it's got the threaded barrel, but I can't afford that right now, so we'll wait.
Yeah, and a threaded barrel without having a suppressor first is kind of an odd situation.
Well, you're just assuming he doesn't have a suppressor.
No, I don't have one yet.
Richard, do you have a suppressor?
Not yet, and I might start in a 22 before I go to 9mm as far as I can. I
would suggest that as well. That is the only true Hollywood quiet. It seems like.
Mm-hmm.
No, it looks good. Looks like a good gun. Is it easy to find holsters for? I've never looked for a holster for a PPQ.
Actually, the alien gear that I've been running as my in the waistband holster for my Glock fits just fine.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, alien gear's only 35 minutes from me. They've got a big facility over here.
Oh yeah,
that's my backup plan. If I ever get fired from Lone Wolf, I guess I'll go to Alien Gear since they're close.
Begging on your hands and knees.
Yeah, please take me. I have a mortgage payment. Cool. Well, that's exciting. So Richard has more guns than Jake almost, it sounds like.
Shut up.
He's not even the host of a wildly successful gun podcast.
Well, yeah.
Well, 2 of them are department issues, so they don't count.
Don't tell Jake that. He doesn't care. What do you carry? Well, I guess we'll get to that. We'll get to that, what you carry, when we actually talk about your whole job there. But
yeah, ask me what I did in guns, because I never do anything in guns.
What did you do in guns this week, Jake?
Nothing. I'm debating how to transport. I have my great grandfather's double-barreled shotgun that isn't. It's a heap. It's just a pile. And it's rusty. It's missing. It got exposed hammers on it. And it's missing like the hammer on the one side and stuff. I'm like, for transporting this, like, do I have to? Can I just throw it in the truck? Because it's like it's a non-operational. I don't think it's even classified as a firearm, but because it's super long, I'm like, I don't have anything. I don't think I have anything long enough to put it in.
I think I would just wrap it up in a towel or something and call it good.
Yeah, wrap it up in paper like I'm shipping it or something. I don't know.
Yeah, you can always ship it to yourself if you really want.
No, that doesn't make sense. So Patriot Patch Company helps make this episode possible. You can check out the World War II patches we have over there, the Tools of Freedom series. We have the Sten gun. We have vehicles too. We have the Supermarine Spitfire, and then we also have some of the other countries too. We have Tools of Communism like the Mosin Nagant, and this whole series we're building out for historical World War II guns and vehicles and planes and stuff. So it's pretty cool. Check it out at patriotpatch.co.
Have you ever talked about how far in advance you have to start working on these for like the patch of the month?
No, I patch of the month we try to start a couple months out. Some of them we start brainstorming, months and months out. But usually a couple months out. And like some of these World War II ones are like 6 months in the making, just because they're not like a high priority. So we're not as quick going back and forth on it, because we kind of, Ryan and I throw ideas back and forth, and he'll show me concepts, and I'll be like, nah, let's change this, or it's good to go. Or if it's a series like this, we'll hold off on some of the designs until we have 3 or 4 of them to launch all at once.
That makes sense. Do you know my favorite 2 patches that they've been around, one of the longest ones, I believe, but is the little Mario bullet guy and the tactical tux. I think that one, the tactical tux, is awesome, where it's a tuxedo and the guy's wearing a vest. Yeah,
that's one of my favorites, the tactical tux. I was actually looking at that today, thinking what else we could do along that line, because we have the wedding cake topper as well, till death do us part patch, and so sometimes people will buy the tactical tuxes and the wedding topper patch as like presents for groomsmen and stuff.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So I was kind of thinking what else we could do along those lines, but yeah, it's fun.
I can't believe the Patches Against Humanity, they haven't gone after you for that.
Oh, what?
That company is super liberal, right? Like super, super liberal, like super duper duper liberal.
Well, they don't have to know that. So,
all right, say no more.
Limited edition, get them while you can.
Yeah, before the restraining order comes, or the cease and desist comes.
All right, let's get into our main topic. So we're interviewing Texas Game Warden Richard Hayes here. So Richard, tell us first, I've been chronicling my journey of escaping Illinois, and you escaped Illinois a long time ago. So what led you from leaving your home state?
Well, first was the cold. I had to make fun of my brother, because 2 of my brothers and one of my sisters still lives up there. And as I'm sure you know, Jake, it got down to negative 50 something. And I sent my brother a snapshot of the weather in Antarctica and the weather north of the Arctic Circle. And I said, look, it's warmer in these two places than it is where you're living. So,
It really did this year. It got colder right where we live than where we're moving to in South Dakota. It got way colder here. I'm like, what the heck?
yeah.
Well, and you went to California first, didn't you?
Yeah. I moved to Santa Barbara, California, where I lived for a while. Then when I deployed to Iraq, I came back, lived in New York, back to California, to Tennessee, where I was a deputy, and that kind of starts the whole game warden stuff.
Well, so did joining the military, is that what actually initially took you out of the state?
No, it was a girl.
Oh.
Huh. And what branch of the military did you go in?
It was the Army, National Guard.
Gotcha.
I was an infantryman, and I deployed to Iraq from 2006 till 2007 and came back. And then I had some buddies that lived in New York, and they were like, yeah, come to New York. So I did for a little bit, but it's just super expensive, just ridiculously expensive to live there. So moved back to California for a bit, and that's where my wife and I got together and got married and moved to Tennessee.
And it was cheaper to live in California than it was in New York?
Yeah.
That seems so crazy to me. I would have guessed it would have been California above it. Well, what part of New York was it?
It was Walden, which is about an hour north of the city, but I worked in the city.
Oh, was it just a lot of transportation costs and like day-to-day costs being in the city?
Mm-hmm. And because that's what most people do, supply and demand in housing, it runs out quick. So.
And how did you? And your wife was born and raised in California?
My wife was born in Romania, and then she was basically raised in California.
And so how did you convince her to go from California, sunshine, birds chirping, to then Tennessee? How did you convince her to do that?
So I was working on getting my 4-year degree and applying for jobs everywhere. I mean, janitorial jobs, everything. And I wasn't getting any callbacks or anything. And my parents had moved down to Tennessee the year before. It's northeast Tennessee up by it's basically Bristol, Virginia, Bristol, Tennessee area. And so I was like, okay, need a change, need to do something. So I was like, let's take the money that we have and pull it together and we'll go that way. So that's what we did.
Just on spec, no job or anything lined out. You just moved there on hope.
Pretty much.
Wow. And she was going along with it.
Yeah, because there was nothing in California besides her family. I couldn't find a job, and we didn't want to be on social programs for the rest of our life. And even though I was working on my degree, there's no guarantee that after I finished my degree, I would get a good job, just because the job market that I was headed to was pretty flooded with people. And then they're also shipping a lot of it overseas or remote doing stuff overseas.
And was it a large culture shock for her when she hit Tennessee?
A little bit, because people are a lot nicer in Tennessee and, say hi and wave and ask about you and will hold doors open for you. But it wasn't too bad. Her big thing was just missing her parents and her family, because her father died while we were there, and then about 6 months later, her mother died. We were able to go back to California to see her mother before she passed, but she missed out on seeing her father before he passed.
And you already had children at this point too, right?
Yeah, so we had my daughter, Evangeline, before we moved, and she was pregnant with Nathan when we moved, and we also had David in Tennessee.
Wow. That's a heck of a journey. I don't know if I could. I have too much anxiety, I think, to do something. Just pull up roots and move cross country with nothing but a prayer, basically. But it worked out for you, obviously. Yeah,
I got on with the sheriff's department out there in Sullivan County, which is a great group of folks. But a lot of it was working in the jail, and when you work in a jail, it feels like you're in jail. There's not a lot of things that you can do. You don't get to see the outside just like the inmates do. And I just started to get stressed out about it. And then that's kind of what led me to where I'm at.
Now, don't most police officers start in jails? Because I know my father-in-law is a state trooper, and I know just as part of the deal, he basically had to work at a jail for X amount of time before you kind of move on beyond that. Is it
a lot of people do, especially if you're in the sheriff's office, they'll put you in the jail first, and then they'll put you on the road, because in the jail, you learn to talk to people, talk to inmates, and then you have to investigate things that go on inside the jail. If someone hit someone or whatever, it helps you learn the department's paperwork and kind of the ropes before you go out.
And one thing I never really understood how people can be in law enforcement is, how do you deal with just knowing people are lying to your face every day, all day?
Just smile and go on about your day. I mean, everyone lies, at some point in time to you, whether you're law enforcement or not. So go buy a used car and tell me they're not lying to you.
Yeah, but at least there you're like, well, yeah, no, I guess I get your point. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't know if I could deal with it. I think that would just be depressing to me. But I guess you just kind of bite your tongue and move on.
Well, that brings up something, guys. I told you were getting paid for this podcast about that.
Yeah, we knew that was true.
Yeah.
So, Richard, you kind of hit the big, 3 terrible states for guns and, everything. New York, Illinois, and California. And then you hit, 2 of the best states, Tennessee and Texas. So what's the biggest difference for you between those states?
Well, were you a firearms owner when you were in Illinois, California, or New York?
California, yes. I bought a AK-47, so it had to be California compliant, which means 10-round magazines, a bullet button. It has to have X amount of U.S.-made parts and all kinds of other stuff. And then I bought my Smith & Wesson M&P 45, which is what I traded in for my Walther, actually. There, and again, 10-round magazine, and it was however many day waiting period and all this stuff. And that was before the laws got even worse to what they are now. But Texas is great. I mean, I didn't have to go through the whole process that average Joe has to go through to get my CCW because I was already in law enforcement, and I just went online and filled out the paperwork and they sent it to me. But Texas is a shall issue state, so you just take the classes and pay the fees, and you get your carry permit.
So I think we missed a step. So you were a sheriff in the jail in Tennessee. And then did you ever make it out to the road, or did you move on while you're still in the jail?
I went to the post academy through Tennessee at the basically the state academy. And I got put back in the jail because they like to see how you're going to act, because you just went through the academy. And of course, I just lost my motivation, and they're like, okay, we're going to hold you off from going to the road. So I was like, all right, fine. Did my part in the jail and kept working hard. And they kept saying, okay, we're going to send you out next month and next month and next month. So I was just kept beating me down. And then that's where my wife started to see it and recommended me to apply for the game wardens.
And where did you see the game? What turned you to game wardens? Why didn't you take another sheriff's job down in Texas?
Sheriff's jobs really don't pay that great. And I didn't want to be stuck inside, and there's so much stuff that the sheriff's office deal with that game wardens don't have to. So the game wardens in Tennessee, you have to have a bachelor's degree in wildlife resource management or parks and wildlife or something like that. For Texas, you just need a bachelor's degree in anything. And so I already had my bachelor's degree, and I had a bad day at work, and then I was like, okay, screw it, I'll apply. I did, and then 5 days later, they sent me an email, hey, come down to Dallas for the physical readiness test, which is, running, sit-ups, push-ups, swimming, and some other stuff. So I came down, went back to Tennessee, and then 5 days later, they were like, okay, come down for your oral interview. I was like, okay, I had to write them, and then I had to delay it about another month because 2 trips from Tennessee to Texas in 1 month is pretty expensive. So they let me delay it, and I went down to Denton County, which is north of Dallas, for my interview. And in the interview, they're like, okay, it's going to be about 2 weeks before we start your background. Check the website and you'll know when it started. So I checked the website the next day at the hotel, and it said background started. So I just told my wife, well, I guess we're moving to Texas.
Well, so that means they were interested enough to start it faster than they said, or why did they start it so much faster?
I guess it wasn't a question, for them. And so they started my background. I moved down to Killeen, Texas, which is central Texas. It's south of Waco, north of Austin. And I got a job on Fort Hood as a contractor working on their ranges and stuff with all the machine running ranges and the tank ranges and small arms ranges, and which paid just enough for us to pay our bills and get by with and live on. And then I was selected as an alternate, which a lot of times people will get in as alternates, but I didn't know that. So around the time orientation came around that weekend, I was like, okay, I was thinking around in my head, okay, I'll call them, I'll drop out for this year, and then I'll try again next year just because I'm an alternate, So Monday morning, before I even woke up, I had a voicemail on my phone that said, hey, this is the Game Warden Academy, give me a call back. So called them back. They're like, you want the job? I was like, yep. And got in.
Huh. And what is your bachelor's in?
Multimedia design and development. So nothing
So
enough.
totally applicable to animals and guns and Texas.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep.
And what did you think you were going to do with that degree ahead of time? When you were getting that degree, what did you think your job was going to be?
Get into doing special effects and stuff in the movie industry, but they started outsourcing a lot of those jobs, and to get into that field in the movie industry is extremely difficult too. So
then
I found that out later.
And did you ever dream of being in law enforcement as a full-time career when you're doing that?
Yeah, it's always been something that I've wanted to do. And my dad saw that. So when I was younger, he planted the seed in my head, because he took me out hunting and fishing and stuff. And he's like, well, why don't you be a game warden? You're outside all day, you're dealing with people, every contact is exciting because everyone has a gun, and I was like, so he planted that seed, and I was like, it just came up eventually, and it ended up being where I ended up at.
Now back to the physical readiness test. They didn't have you like wrestle a bear or something like that. Chase down a hog.
Not for the. So that would be the academy. That not for the physical readiness test. So they just want to make sure you don't drown and you can run a little bit.
Wait, so you did wrestle a bear?
Not a bear, but an alligator.
You're kidding, really?
No, I am 100% serious.
Wow.
Wait, you had to wrestle an alligator? How does that work?
Yes. So basically,
like a guy dressed up as an alligator, like a freak, or like an actual live alligator?
An 8-foot alligator that you jump on his back and clamp his mouth shut and try to tape it, and yeah.
That's
they
awesome.
Don't like a dummy one to because what if the people fail? They're just putting people in harm's way just for a test.
I mean, I can't remember what they said, but basically, you get bit, you get bit.
It's called a test, Zach. Come on.
Yeah, but typically there's like a safety net under a test of some sort. But okay, and what was going through your mind when you're getting ready to jump on the back of an alligator, which I'm assuming you hadn't done up to that point?
No, so I started with a small one. It was about a 4-foot one, so that wasn't too bad.
So you started with a baby alligator. Okay, all right. Yeah. So did they provide said alligator, or did you just find one to practice on?
No, they brought a trailer full of alligators to the academy. And right in front, there's like guys that do it for a living, remove alligators for a living. And he pulls this monster of an alligator out of the trailer, untapes its mouth, undoes its legs, and so it's just sitting there staring at us with his mouth open. And he's like, well, this is how you do it. And he went through the whole spiel and did his whole thing. And we're like, get after it.
And there's no personal protective gear on at this point?
No.
And they've never seen you before this? This is like a test, like you just coming off the street, basically?
No. This is just at the academy. It's week. It's in the middle of the academy. Okay,
so you're basically hired at that point already?
Yeah, you're already hired. You've done quite a bit.
Okay.
They wouldn't do it there's too much liability to do that here's part of your entry exam.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
Go ahead.
How does this work? Okay, so that wasn't part of your physical readiness exam. What was that was
readiness,
just running and stuff?
It was running, sprinting, push-ups and sit-ups. Then you had a handgun stability test where you pull the trigger. There's a ring that you hold your arm and the pistol in. You pull the trigger to see that you're not, your hand's not moving around too much. And then you switch hands and do the other hand. And then there's a 100-meter swim as well.
Huh.
Okay, back to the academy. So did you do any other crazy stuff?
Had to swim in our full uniform with a vest, with boots on, with a weighted gun belt.
Wow.
So that way, if you're on a boat and you fall in, you can survive. Or if someone grabs you and pushes you in, you can push them off and stuff. So when you're at the academy, you go on 3 different trips. You go on a trip to the border, you go on a trip to the coast, and then you go to a trip to like a big lake where there's a lot of boating activity. So the border op, we do, illegal fishing nets and stuff, and illegal crossing and drugs and everything else. The coastal trip, you deal with commercial shrimping and commercial oysters. And then for the lake trip, which ours was close to the 4th of July, so we were out doing BWIs, boating while intoxicated, and people doing drugs on boats and unsafe boating activities and stuff. So,
how many people are in your class?
We started with 53 and graduated 43, I think.
Wow, so the alligators ate that many?
Yeah.
Yeah, alligators and wild hogs.
Did you deal with wild hogs at the academy?
Yeah, we had to basically learn how to kill them and skin them out, because
Really?
we donate a lot of the meat that we end up with, whether it's a deer that we had to put down because it got hit by a car, or a hunter illegally kills a deer. We don't want the resource to go to waste, so we will donate it. And sometimes part of donating it is we have to process the game out, so that way it's ready to be donated. We don't just walk up with a banged up deer carcass and hand it to them and say, here you go. So they just there's a lot of people that have never processed game before. So they go through the whole thing of teaching us how to do it on the ground, using the skin as a protective barrier from the dirt on the ground. And then after it's all said and done, we let the meat cure for about a week, and then we eat it at the academy.
Wow. That's awesome.
Did you like it?
It wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I've heard it kind of depends on what they're eating, basically, mainly.
Yeah, and size too. You want to get a wild hog under 120 pounds.
Oh, do they get too tough or something when they get too big?
Yeah, tough and gamey.
So is a game warden, so Texas is a big state, obviously. So do you have to specialize in kind of the area you're working in, or does every game warden have to kind of know the whole state's kind of responsibilities, so if they get transferred, or how does that work?
Yeah, you basically learn your responsibilities for the whole state. So we are state police officers. So along with our game warden work, we can do regular law enforcement work. And you don't find out where you're going until about 6 weeks before graduation. And they they give you a list, and they're like, here's the places that's open for you. Write down your 3 choices, and then they will choose for you, which might not be any of your 3 choices. So if you're used to working on the coast and all the coastal fish, the saltwater fish and all of that stuff, there's no guarantee that you're going to end up on the coast. You could end up, in the county next to me, which has no water except for a little bit of Rio Grande.
And how long are you typically on assignments there? Do you just kind of stay there till you're done, or do they move you guys around a lot?
Transfer lists typically come out every year. It just depends. Right now, there's going to be a delay because our next academy is not going to start until this fall. It didn't start at the beginning of the year like mine did. It's starting this fall. So they're going to kind of align it so that way when the list comes out for us, there will be a final list for the academy that they can choose to send the new cadets out to.
So after the existing guys transfer where they want, then it opens up the spots for the cadets?
Yeah, and there will probably be a lot of border spots.
Yeah, does that scare you working on the border? That seems like it would be a dangerous deal.
Not really. It's just kind of slow as far as my job goes. We have quite a bit of border down here. We've got a big chunk of the Rio Grande. We have a national park. Pretty much, except for 2 areas, most of my county, which is the largest county in Texas, it's over 6,000 square miles. Most of it's all private property, all ranches and stuff. We have 2 public hunting areas, which you can hunt, and at one of them you can fish the Rio Grande and you can camp at them and stuff. But those are limited to dove and quail and then drawn hunts, which is like a lottery for certain game.
So what is your responsibility when it comes to private land? Do you stay off it unless you need to get called into it, or what do you do with somebody's private property?
Essentially, we can cross into private land at any point in time because someone can be hunting there at any point in time. We like to get the consent of the landowners and get good relations with the landowners, so that way they know that we're working for them, working to help them and keep their property safe and any resources on their property safe. The way that Texas works is, the wild game is it's a wildlife resource, but it belongs to all of the people of the state of Texas. So if a deer can jump a fence, that basically our jurisdiction is anywhere where wild game may stray or roam. That's what it says in the code. So deer can jump fences and dove can fly over and everything. So we need to work to protect all of the wildlife resources in the state of Texas.
All right. So tell us about kind of what you do, what your daily routine is, or special assignments, stuff like that.
So one of the positive things about it being game warden is nothing is typical average. I don't have a schedule besides the days that I work. I work Wednesday through Sunday. Pretty much all field wardens do not have weekends off because weekends and holidays is typically when people are out hunting, recreating. But other than that, I leave the house when I want to. I come home when I want to. As long as I get 40 hours in my 5-day schedule, then I'm fine.
Wow.
So like with this being Easter weekend, I'm working a long day today, a long day tomorrow, so I can work a short day on Sunday, and I'd be with my family. And that's just how it works. There's no. I have a captain here in my county who's a really good guy, but I don't have to talk to him. I don't have to really report to him. I just send him my reports at the end of the month, and that's it. I don't have to call him every day and let him know what I'm doing. I don't have to send him an email saying this is what I'm going to do. We're pretty much left wide open.
Do you work by yourself, or do you have a partner, or how does that work?
Typically, we work by ourselves. There's only 2 game wardens here in Brewster County, in the county that I'm in. There's 4 in the neighboring county, in Presidio County next to us. There's 1 north of us and then 1 northeast of us. So it's pretty hard to get to work with a partner. If we're doing an op, like a border op or something, then we'll work together typically, but usually I'm out there by myself.
Does that ever worry you?
Not usually. Most places in the county I have radio reception on my 2-way. I don't have cell service pretty much anywhere in the county. As soon as I leave town, basically about 10 miles south of town is gone until I hit South County. But typically we've got DPS, which is our state troopers here in the county. We've got Border Patrol. We've got the county deputies, and then in the city there's city cops. If I need someone, I can get on the county radio and contact them, or Border Patrol, or usually DPS is good. I use their radio a lot because it works pretty much everywhere. And then I also have a satellite phone too.
Oh, that's cool. So that's in worst case scenario, the satellite phone is the backup for everything?
Yeah, because it typically works 95% of the time.
When doesn't a satellite phone work?
If you're down in the canyon or something like that, certain places.
Oh, just because the satellite could have too much angle on you where you're hitting the canyon first? That makes sense. Huh. That's interesting. So, what are you actually doing day to day? Like what you said, you can set your own schedule, but what fills that 40 hours?
Right now, it's just kind of checking our local fishing hole, which is just a small little pond that we have here in town. I've been checking retail fish dealers, which is so to sell fresh fish or fresh frozen fish in the state of Texas, you have to have a cheap permit. So I have to check for compliance with that, and then just general law enforcement stuff, looking for speeders and whatnot, because there's no hunting going on right now. But during hunting season,
isn't there always hunting for like hogs? Isn't that a year-round thing?
Not so much out here.
Oh, okay.
It's a lot of private property, and people can pay to hunt, but generally that's you can basically hunt wild hogs for free in East Texas or Central Texas versus out here. Most people out here don't shoot the hogs because it's kind of a new thing that they're out here.
Interesting.
Is that because it's so dry and arid out there?
Yeah, and I've really only seen them close to town on the north side of the county, but we do have them, and I've seen more in the last year than I did when I first got here almost 2 years ago.
So tell us a little bit about your equipment, your gear, your guns, your truck.
So we all drive Chevy Silverados basically with the big cab. And then it's outfitted just like any other police vehicle with lights and sirens and radio and all that stuff. And then we are issued at least my class, most of us were issued a Wyndham M4 variant rifle, and then a Glock 22 pistol, which there's talks right now for us to switch over to one of the 9mm Glocks. I don't know what model they'll go with yet, but they're talking about it for possibly this year. I don't know yet. But besides all the regular police equipment, we get rescue gear for swiftwater rescue. We get all the stuff that we need to take care of our trucks, basically, if we're stuck out in the middle of nowhere. And then in my truck, I'd carry enough food to survive like a week and all kinds of other stuff. And then we get a tactical vest that has plates in it, so we can respond to whatever, and trauma kits and all that stuff.
So when you watch the TV shows that are based on that's all I know about game wardening is just watching the TV shows on Netflix. Do you scoff at it when you see it like, oh, that was so scripted, or is that like any approximation of what the job is actually like?
So the show that follows my department specifically, Lone Star Law, it's not really scripted. Sometimes they'll take the most exciting parts and then they'll push them together with the not exciting parts, so it looks like it builds a story. But typically, it's pretty common. Now out here, like I said, it's pretty slow. We don't have a lot of traffic through the area. We don't have a lot of hunting in the area, so I don't deal with as much as say an East Texas warden would deal with, where they're dealing with a lot more people fishing, a lot more people hunting, a lot more people with drugs. I have dealt with illegals out here and dealing with some possible poaching, but it's not as exciting here as it is in some places of Texas.
So, but you have a TV show following your department? I didn't miss that part. Oh, okay.
It's specifically Lone Star Law, yeah.
Huh. What's the
and they're
one?
going to be out filming me in June.
Really?
Interesting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So you're going to be.
That doesn't mean I'll get on the show. Yeah, that doesn't mean I'll get on the show because I've already been on it when they caught my graduation. I'm on there for like 2 seconds.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't introduce you as a TV star. Dang it.
Yeah.
Now, when they're out there filming, just remember to do some crazy stuff so you make the cut. Okay, like randomly fire your gun in the air, and that'll be good, right?
Yeah, and then see how fast my truck tops out at.
Well, I think he's got a vest. I think we really need to get some Gun Guy Radio patches or something on his vest so they show up on TV. Get him that tactical tux patch that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we haven't made it on Cops yet, so this is our next hope.
Yeah, well, that's usually a good thing when you don't make it on Cops, but...
Well, it depends on which side you're on.
Well, true.
And how your family is, because, some people, hey, that's my cousin.
Yeah.
Which one? The cop or the guy getting put in the car?
Yeah. and so for your truck, they trust the Chevy to keep running in the middle of nowhere. That's amazing to me.
Yeah. So we have run Ford F-150s. So it's all up to contract because it is state job. So they take bids and all that stuff. Right now it's Chevy that has it. They've had F-150s for a while. And I forget what year they switched over. They tried Dodge for like a year and then I guess they didn't work for how rough we run the trucks. So they didn't work out.
Yeah, because you're off pavement for a good portion of that, aren't you? That's
kind of what our motto is law enforcement off the pavement.
Yeah, so you got to have a pretty tough truck to do that.
Yeah, good tires. And right now we don't have lift kits. We're supposed to get lift kits here pretty soon, or at least leveling kits. My old truck had one on it, and I went over everything. I didn't have to worry about getting stuck anywhere or anything. Now I've got a brand new truck that I just got the end of last year. I just rolled over on 11,000 miles today. So I'm like, I'm not babying it. It's all scratched up already, from driving through Mesquite, but I have to be careful of where I drive because I don't want to get stuck out in the middle of nowhere.
Do you guys use those drawer units or anything for the beds? Do you have extra weight in the back because of those?
No, we have a regular toolbox, and I've got all kinds of stuff stuffed in there. And then we typically keep a cooler in the back too, so that way if we get some resources that need to be taken back to be donated, we throw them on ice and then take them out. And then inside of the cab, like I said, I have all kinds of stuff inside of there.
So what is the snake situation?
How do you mean?
Are there snakes? Because I think that would just automatically make me not a game warden just in Texas. I think snakes would just throw me off. Like, nah, I'm done. I'd get on an alligator, I think, before I mess with a snake.
No, you wouldn't.
We've got several snake species, including some venomous. Here in the county, we have, I believe, 3 different types of rattlesnake. We've got the Mojave, the black tip, and then the diamondback. And I've seen all but the Mojave. We've got red racers, which is a non-venomous snake, and bull snakes and everything else.
Huh. But yeah, I think I'm out. I'm glad you're able to do it because I don't think I would be able to do it.
Well, they give you a pole, like a grabby arm, like what you use to reach stuff on the top shelf,
Yeah, like
they give you. Yeah.
I still think I'm good. I think those are faster than my reflexes can do with that stick.
Don't worry, Zach. You would have never made it past the running test.
I could run for a little bit. I think they would get me in the sit-ups and the push-ups test more than the running test.
The running test to get in is not hard. I mean,
yeah, see? But
it's like a mile and a half in 21 minutes.
A mile and a half? I could do a mile in 21 minutes. Interesting. Okay, so would you recommend this career to other people that are wanting to do law enforcement, but they don't see a way to do it in like a regular police job?
I would. I mean, it's a great job. We have a great department that's behind us and that supports us. And the majority, about 99% of my interactions with people are positive, because typically we are approaching people who are just out recreating, who are out hunting or fishing. Typically people are doing the right thing. You check their hunting license, have a good day, and you move on to the next person. So it's not a lot of people screaming in your face and yelling and calling you names and saying that you're the worst person ever. It's just a lot of positivity, and, we're semi-famous now because of the show, and people are like, oh, hey, Lone Star Law. And it's not as, we don't hold the same negative connotations as a lot of law enforcement does, because we're more natural resources oriented, and people usually don't see us as regular police, because we'll pull someone over and, oh, I didn't know a game warden could pull you over. Well, yeah, state police or state law enforcement on the side of the truck. But it's a lot of positive interactions. It's so many things that you can do with this career. And the state of Texas is so diverse as far as topography and climate goes, that you can, if you want to work the prairie, you can work in the Panhandle. If you want to work Piney Woods, you can work East Texas. If you want to work the coast, we've got miles of coastline. Or out here in the desert, which I'm in the mountainous desert. Our town is at 4,500 feet above sea level. So
Wow.
A lot of people in Texas who've lived in Texas their whole life don't realize that Texas has mountains.
Yeah, because we're like, I'm literally in the mountains, and we're only at like 2,200 feet. So you're not even not even super mountainous, and you're already at 4,500. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, from what I've heard, we're at the tail end of the Rocky Mountains is what our area is.
Interesting. Now, do you have the opportunity, like if you want to transfer to a more traditional police job, can you still do that? Do they take your experience and transfer it?
Yes, because we are TCOL certified, Texas Commission on Law Enforcement certified, and because we have, I think it's the longest academy in the state. It's one of the longest in the United States. With all the training and stuff, it would not be hard for someone to just switch over to being a city cop or a county or something like that. Now, if you wanted to go and be a trooper, you'd have to go through their lateral program, which is it's an amended academy of theirs, and I don't know what that entails because I don't want to be a trooper right now.
And so what prompted you to start this YouTube channel that you've got going, and explain what you do on that, I guess?
So I've been doing like self-reliant stuff for a long time. I was in the Scouts when we were in high school, middle school, whatever. And I've always liked wilderness survival and being outside and learning to do things on my own. And I've really kind of been focusing on it for the last 10 or 12 years. With one of my buddies in California. And so I'm like, well, I have this degree that is sitting around not doing anything besides, I got the job with it, but I'm not using my movie making skills. I was like, God, I'll just go out and film me doing some of the stuff that I enjoy doing and share it with other people. And so it's still in its infancy. I started in November. I've got like 39 subscribers or something like that. But I just have fun doing it. I have fun going out, making the films, coming back and editing them and showing people the skills and just getting other people involved in self-reliance.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a bigger category every year as we keep going. I think people realize that I think it's picked up a lot more just even in the last few years. You see a lot more of the people focusing on it.
It has. And that's also a problem too, because there's a lot where it's like, it's almost showy. They don't show you anything of substance. Oh, hey, I have this piece of gear, but they don't have any skills. Oh, I have, I look the part, but I'm not actually, it's a hobby. It's not something that you do as a way of life. Self-reliance needs to be something that and you understand and you want to do. So that way, if something happens, if you end up in a situation, then you're okay. Based on your skills, experience, and the equipment that you're carrying, you'll be okay. Whether it's a natural disaster happens, the power goes out for a week, or you get lost while you're out walking around.
Yeah, And you have to learn that stuff before that incident happens, not during or after.
Yeah. And I mean, we've done several search and rescues in the county, and so far since I've been out here, I think only one ended up in a fatality. But it's people who are outdoors, quote unquote outdoors people, and they walk off the trail and they're not seen for a couple of days.
Mm. Yeah, that's why I just stay off the trail. That's the safest thing, is just stay off the trail.
Stay at home.
Stay in the car.
Stay at home.
Stay on the couch.
Yep. I don't think anybody ever died on the couch, did they? Well, not for that reasons.
Yeah, I was going to say, didn't Elvis die on the couch or something?
I thought it was a toilet.
He was sitting down. That's what matters.
I thought it was a big poop he was trying to push out and he died. That's what I was always told. Anyways, Jake, do you have any other questions for Richard?
All right. So, so what do you see the future holding for your channel? What types of topics do you want to cover?
I want to focus on self-reliance, but not specifically bushcraft or wilderness survival. Just kind of helping people understand that there's ways that you can get through a bad situation. Like I said, whether it's a natural disaster or something like that. I've already taught several classes. One of the beauties of my job is that they like us to do programs. So for the homeschool co-op out here, I taught a wilderness survival class from grade school all the way up to high school kids, and I used it as a program. So basically I did it while I was working, and I was able to teach a bunch of kids a whole bunch of fun stuff. And then awesome. I just did another one for college students last month. I had a couple of college students, which may become a regular thing that I end up doing. But I just want to help people and show them that, hey, anyone can do it. It's not, that was my whole premise for Through the Haze. I wanted to find something that was a play off my last name. That's why I have Through the Haze, but it's Haze. And I wanted to kind of demystify it, because a lot of people, you'll watch them on YouTube and it's very pretty looking and, it looks awesome. And, I could never do that stuff. Anyone can do it. Just practice, get a few pieces of gear, some gear that I recommend or whatever, and just go out and practice at home, practice in your backyard where you're safe and you don't have to go, have people looking for you because you went out to practice these things in your gospel or something.
Practice.
But it's completely attainable and doable. But anyway.
Practice. I just watch Doomsday Preppers. I mean, they tell me everything I need to know. Those guys got it figured out. One of the seasons showed up on Netflix. I never really watched that show, but I watched a little bit, and I'm like, man, these people are so dead. Like, even before Doomsday, they're just like, no, everything they're doing is just terrible. And I don't know, that might be something, Zach, and even Richard, maybe we could explore for the future, is to critique some of these shows like Doomsday Preppers and how bad they're really. I mean, it's just their whole premise in a lot of scenarios is just so out of whack. It's just nutty.
Some of it is creative editing too, because I know one person that was on it.
Oh, really?
And they said that the way that it was filmed, or the way that it was edited, rather, made him look like a crazy person.
Okay, now you can tell us, was he actually a crazy person?
A little nutty, but I wouldn't say he's crazy.
Oh, okay. There's a fine line right there, but okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. That's the problem when you sign up for those things, is you have no control once it's out.
No, the gentleman that I'm talking about, he's pretty well known in his area. He's been tapped a bunch of times to train people to go on some of these survival shows, like Naked and Afraid and stuff, to teach them the skills that they need to be able to, quote unquote, survive with nothing. And he's a pretty normal guy. He knows he's very intelligent too, very humble. But just the way that they edited it made him look like he's, nutters.
All right.
Okay, so Richard, your YouTube channel, I got that linked up in the show notes for everyone to go check that out. And you've got a Facebook page for your Through the Haze as well. I got that in the show notes as well. And
Instagram.
Okay, Instagram.
But that's all linked through you. Yeah, that's linked through YouTube and Facebook, so you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, and then the people have to check out that show. What was it again? Texas
Lone Star Law.
Lone Star
Lone
Law.
Star Law.
Okay,
so on Animal Planet, they're I think we're going to the 5th season. They're filming for the 5th season now.
Well, I guess the only people from our high school that made it onto TV are Richard Hayes for law enforcement and Mia Tidwell for Rock of Love, trying to win the heart of Vince Neil. That is our claim to fame, people. Claim to fame.
Well, when you have a graduating class of, 64 people, 2 out of 64 ain't bad.
Yeah, that's pretty good stats. I mean, you got 1 for sex and 1 for law enforcement. There you go.
All right. Well, Patriot Patch helps make this episode possible. Check out the Patch of the Month Club at patriotpatch.co, where you get a unique, exclusive patch every month delivered to your mailbox. You can only get through the Patch of the Month Club. And we're going to be releasing May's design here soon. So towards the end of each month, we give a little sneak peek of what the next month is. So you can sign up for our email newsletter at patriotpatch.co to make sure you get those. Zach, you're going to be at the NRA show here coming up soon, right?
Yeah, if you'll find me, you can say hi. I will be walking the floor. I may be in the Lone Wolf booth, which I think is 3338, but don't quote me on that. I think it's 3338 booth number. But I'll be there in Indianapolis. I'll be there this coming weekend. Not this weekend, but the weekend of the last weekend of the month, basically. So I'll be there. Come say hi if you see me. I know it's always weird. I've walked the floor at SHOP before, and people just kind of turn around and go, "I know that voice," but they don't know, what I look like mostly. So I thoroughly disappoint them as soon as they see me, but at least they know what I look like or know what I sound like.
Yeah. And then they just can't listen after that. It's terrible.
Yeah, they're like, exactly.
Yeah.
They'll just have those visions of me wrestling an alligator.
Yeah. Unfortunately, I'm not going to make it this year with the move and everything, but it's in Indianapolis. So normally that's like a really short drive for me, but just not going to work out this time.
And then a few weeks later, in mid-May, I'm also going to be at the U.S. Concealed Carry Association convention out there in Pittsburgh. So if anybody's going to that, I will also be there. We have a booth there. We'll have a gun. They have a gun range. We'll have guns out shooting there. So you can come say hi and see me there as well.
Are they moving that one around every year now too?
I don't know. This is the first time we've ever gone to it, so I don't know where it was last year, but this year I know it's in Pittsburgh, so that's where I'm going.
Or was that the one that it was canceled because of the hurricane last year or the year before last year or something like that? Because it was in one of the Carolinas. It was in South or North Carolina, and there's some show. I think that might have been it.
Yeah, it's USCCA. It's basically the concealed carry insurance program. So yeah, it's I don't know where it was last year, and this is the first time we've ever been involved with it because we actually make a signature pistol based off of the wants and needs of the editor of the magazine over there at the USCCA, Kevin Michalowski. So he makes a gray man pistol that we make for him. So we figured we'd show it off there and attend the show for him.
Cool.
Yeah.
That was probably in the magazine I threw out. I'm actually a member of that, and I'm terrible. The NRA magazine and that magazine, they go straight in the garbage can. About wraps us up. Thank you, Richard, for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Zach.
No problem.
And check out Hunter Design. Brian Cross helps make all the artwork possible for this show and many of the shows in the Firearms Radio Network. If you need artwork design, website design, check out hunterofdesign.com. And remember to subscribe to us on iTunes so you never miss a show. Leave us a review there. And don't forget to check out all the other awesome shows here on the Firearms Radio Network. That's a wrap, and we'll see you next time.
This has been a production of the Firearms Radio Network. You can find more information at firearmsradio.tv.